Live and direct, live and a date no jive.
Legalize it.
So how much can a koala bear? Koala bear, koala bear. Koala bear. Barry pulls a joint out of his pocket. Bill says, "Great, Barry, a reefer."
Hi, welcome back. It's the Karma Koala podcast. This week on the show, well, I say for the third time this week, because it's been a busy week on recordings, we've got Sarah Strickler from Grown Rogue in Southern Oregon. And I was just saying to her in the preamble that the only reason I got up at 5:30 in the morning is because she's from Southern Oregon, and so it'll be an interesting conversation. Sarah, thank you for being on the up the tree, as I say, on the Karma Koala podcast. Tell us a little bit about how you got into cannabis and about Grown Rogue to start with, and then I might sort of question you on some left field things about what's going on in Oregon at the moment, because I haven't spoken to anybody from Oregon for a while.
Yeah, first I'll thank you very much for having me today. Well, this morning, I should say, on your end. So thank you for inviting me to have a conversation with you. I really appreciate it. Cannabis came to me through kind of more of a health and wellness lens. I believe deeply in holistic healing. I was a massage therapist, and I explored looking at becoming an acupuncturist. I saw cannabis in the realm of just another tool in your toolbox of kind of healing, much like talk therapy or massage therapy or any kind of alternative therapy. In my lens, in my purview, it just seemed like it's a plant. If someone wants to heal their body in this way, that made perfect sense to me.
Common sense. Well, that's you can never combine cannabis with common sense. People get upset with that.
Right. I mean, it's a plant. So I couldn't, for me, that was my understanding. That was how I viewed it. That was how, if it was going to heal someone's body or alleviate something for them, that was for them to decide. I believe in choice. So for me, I would never want someone to not have the ability to have a choice or a say in how they want to, exercise something like that. I come from sports as well. I was a Division I basketball player. So for me, also just taking care of your body has always been a big influence on me. Playing sport probably has had one of the biggest impacts on my life. It's really where the team development and that idea of team really was formalized for me, and the disciplines that it has taken to get to this position, actually, where we are today in Grown Rogue.
Tell me about Grown Rogue. What is it, and how is it different from other companies operating in the space? And
Yes.
do you have a specific sort of Oregon way of thinking about, because when I read your stuff, it seemed to me that, as we move into, I don't know, I wouldn't call it stage 3 of cannabis, but maybe stage 2.5. At long last, I'm beginning to see companies coming up who aren't into the gold rush sort of thinking, and actually are looking to be SME businesses that last for a long time, and not even developing a brand, so to speak, but developing a sort of ethos about what cannabis is and incorporating that into a business structure.
Yeah, I love this question. It's actually several questions in one, so I love that you're talking about all of it. It's a great question. Grown Rogue, we started in the medical space. And I say we, my husband and I. So we have a long history, standing history of cultivating cannabis here in this region, specifically that's known for great cultivation of cannabis. And if you can't grow great cannabis here, you're never going to survive. It's a true testament to really who we are and what we do, just because of that element of it. We knew that when we formalized Grown Rogue from transitioning our medical farms into the rec space, we saw an opportunity there to really come. As you know, there's been a lot of stigmas in this industry, and really coming from the.
Can I jump in? When you were growing before, were you doing all that standard stuff that you thought other people expected you to do in the way that you did it? Have you actually changed? Was it all indoor, and then you've sort of begun to move it outdoor? Did you change? Did your philosophy change from beginning through this process?
The thing that has not changed is our love and passion for the plant. That has remained evident through the entire process, whatever stage of regulatory um,
Yeah.
focus we're level we've been at. So that has remained the same. The love, the care, the dedication, that is tried and true in everything that we do. Now, overcoming and having to calibrate and adjust with the regulatory structures and building a business, absolutely, we've had to adjust and pivot and be nimble and be, if you will, kind of we've really had to be robust and be very disciplined in so many ways to be at this stage of the game, really. As you know, Oregon is arguably the hardest market in the states
Well, I
to
mean, yeah,
be
oversupply is is is
We have, yes,
understatement of the century, isn't it? But I mean,
yes,
this is what I like about Oregon because people in Oregon are. I grew up in the country in the UK, so people in Oregon remind me of you're practical rural people, but you think way ahead, in terms of new ideas. It's that combination which I still don't think anywhere else in the country has, and I get a sense that your company and companies like you in Oregon are very quietly getting on and creating a sort of future of cannabis and business that the rest of the country really isn't aware of at the moment, which is always, of course, the best way to do it, because that's how you get customers and customers for life. Yeah.
yes. That discipline and being that craft, if you will, I think that's kind of what you were alluding to, kind of that
Yeah.
craft niche, disciplined operator who cares passionately about the plant. That to us is the execution that we bring day in and day out is, making sure that we're delivering that just great quality at an affordable price for our consumers because those two can both exist at the same time. You can create a great product for the end user that is cost effective, that can be well priced so that they're able to afford it. The two can be coexisting together. Um, I think through this process, it's through the downturns that we've learned the most, where we've had to be under pressure, learning from our mistakes that's made us so excellent at what we do. It's really a testament to our team. It truly is about who you surround yourself with and building and putting people in the right roles to succeed and watch them grow and flourish in these roles. I mean, I think that's been one of the greatest blessings for Obi and I, my husband, to watch in this company is that to watch team members, to see people on your team go from being, let's just say, a trimmer to watching them come into some managerial role and elevating with the company
Well,
has
that's
been,
how you create a proper company, isn't it? Rather than hiring people in on online and then they come in and they want lots of money and then they a proper business is that's if you start at the bottom. I mean, I remember my ex-father-in-law who started. His story was he was lighting fires in the bank when he started, and then he ended up running World Credit Union organization. I mean but those are the people who are going to be the best for your business, but not just that, best for the industry. I hate to use the word industry, but they're the ones who actually create what the future is, isn't it?
yes, that you're 100% correct on that. And truly, we've been able to surround ourselves with some of the most amazing people that I could only dream of meeting. I think that's been one of the greatest gifts is to, have these folks that are so talented and so unique in what they do and their gifts that they're given, that they want to come and buy into the vision of what you're building and creating. I mean, that's a huge compliment, right? Like it's humbling. It's something as a founder that you can't really describe because it's truly is like, wow, we built something that someone else believes in, and there's no greater honor, I really feel like.
So in terms of products, are all your products THC based and you can only sell them within the state
That's
or
Yes, that's correct. Yes. They're all THC based. We're a flower forward company. Again, like we said, craft quality. And we're trying to deliver that great consistency of our product across all of our markets that we operate in, and delivering that consistency and quality, like I said, at an affordable price for our consumers, and just really trying to give the consumer the right experience, for what they're wanting out of our products.
So how does that work for you as a company? Are you just are you trying to just build really, as you say, craft organically, we can use those words. I mean, because as you said earlier, the market in Oregon is a reasonably small market for the US market. How do you see the company growing unless regulation doesn't allow you to do work outside the state? I mean, would would you be thinking of doing non-THC type products just to get the idea of what the company is? Because to me, it sounds very Oregon. I haven't used your products because I haven't been to the States for a while, but you know, if I'm somewhere else in the States and I see an Oregon-based product, I'm going to buy it because the words natural, the words clean, all those things come in your head. And I think Oregon products would do very well in the rest of the US, but nothing is changing very quickly, is it? To allow companies in Oregon who have developed something pretty positive to take it outside the state. So have you got plans for trying to do that in other ways?
Well, we are a multi-state operator. I don't know if you know this, but we actually grow here in Oregon. We have two outdoor gardens as well as two indoor facilities. And then we're also
Mhm.
in Michigan. We grow indoor only in
Okay.
Michigan. And we're also in New
Okay.
Jersey. And we're soon to be in Illinois and Minnesota as well.
Okay.
So
So
we are
you're doing that normal thing of having to create 10 different businesses around the country, which must be quite an investment, isn't it?
That is correct. We really are getting known for our craft in terms of our profiles that we have, and just the number of flavors that we have, if you will, the different kinds of flavors from our strains. So that's been really great to build out that portfolio of just the capacity of bringing on the new genetics, what's hot, what the markets want. Really, they tell us and drive what we want, what they want us to grow for them.
And
So that
how are the logistics of being a SME business, as you say, husband and wife business, with the big companies can do this sort of stuff because they can just splash money around, but obviously you can't splash money around. It must be pretty difficult being up in the Pacific Northwest and then having to make sure that everything is working okay in New Jersey and then having to go to Michigan and now Illinois. I mean, that's an exhausting business in itself, just getting from A to B, but also just having that business around the US without huge amounts of money to spend must be pretty challenging, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the discipline comes into play, explicitly, because you have to be disciplined operators to exist and to withstand that pressure to afford and to be able to operate in these markets. We are a publicly traded company, not because that was fun or exciting. I mean, not because we did it, because we needed access to
You-
capital to continue to grow the
Yeah.
company. It wasn't, for any other reason. So, for us, and it was a survival for us. But again, going back to the husband wife, Obi and I are the founders, and we have had to claw our way through a lot of different hurdles to get to this point, to be able to be, out of the weeds, if you will. I mean, every day it's a grind, though. Every day
Well, I
it's
was about to say you might be out of the weeds, but if you're doing that nationally, you're never going to you never feel as though you're going to be out of the field, to use a bad analogy. Basically, it's it doesn't the way that the market is structured in the US doesn't really work for a company like yourself, I would suggest. And this is for me, this is one of the big problems of the US at the moment. Until they're serious in Washington, and not just talking about Schedule 3, but talking about a whole range of other things, it will never allow companies that are naturally birthed like yours to become the biggest players in the country, and so you get a good brand with a good product. So I don't know, an in and out instead of a McDonald's or something, to use a US analogy. And I just find that rather depressing, because I've now been reporting every day for 10 years on the market around the world. But obviously I started doing this in Portland.
Yeah.
So and I just see what's happening in the US at the moment as consolidation at the top end of the market and everybody else having to struggle a bit. And then guys like yourself in the middle who have created something really different and interesting, but the structure is never going to really let you get past a certain point unless you work yourself to death, which is not the idea of what your company is in the first place. I hope I'm not sort of presuming things, but it seems that's the way the market is structured, and it should work better for companies like yourself who are trying to create like an honest American version of what cannabis should be, and so many people have sort of lost in that game already.
Yeah, I we control what we can control, right? That's the name of the game here. And we are very good operators and we have a very solid system. And we are able to navigate and like I'll bring it back to just some of the hardest markets and our discipline, our team, our approach, I really feel and believe is the differentiator among the difference between us and others. We're playing the long game. We're not playing the short game. We're here to, like you said, build a real business, build a real company, which we have, that delivers a great product to the consumers. And
Yeah,
we
I've
do
been speaking to a number of hemp farmers recently. I was speaking to a guy called Ken Elliott up at Ind Hemp in Montana, and that's the approach those guys are taking as well. You have a good team, you keep it in the family, and you do what you can do, and you hope that the legislators and the regulators eventually catch up with understanding that people who are out there creating the best product and creating the best environment for people to understand cannabis are the ones who should eventually shine. And which leads me to education. Have you guys got yourselves involved in education? Because I think that's one of the missing parts in US cannabis at the moment. Everything's shot ahead, but education hasn't really caught up.
Yes, it's great. From the beginning, one of the main themes of Grown Rogue was community and building a business that we could not only Obi and I, my husband, could be proud of, but our daughters and our community really trying to coexist and identify, like, even if you didn't want to smoke our product, if you didn't want to try it, you could still be really proud of the business that we were building, and being leaders in that regard. And that has stayed true, true and true. And from day one, yes, education. And for me, educating our community around what this product is, how you grow it, how it can integrate, that has been a huge priority in our organization. While simultaneously, again, going back to the team, developing our talent. That has been a huge priority. You're never going to win anything without great people. And in order to do that, you have to continuously learn, right? You have to be curious. You have to understand, hey, what are we missing? What can we do better? Taking that approach, and just being curious about it. And so really trying to establish, I know one of the roles that I have played here has been developing our leaders and doing leadership training, because so many folks come, have a great skill set. But again, like I said, they don't necessarily have the ability to know how to become a really great manager. And so offering tools that offset some of that so that they're able to grow with us. Because going back to one of your questions around, we are in growth mode. We will continue to be in growth mode as we carry and take on new states and try new products, or bring on other things. So that is super important to us, as our culture builds, that our team members feel part of that and are able to grow with us. Because at the end of the day, we're not just growing plants, we're growing leaders, truly. And in that, you have to create great environments. So again, going back to just the environment in which you put people or plants, if it is a good environment, they will grow. They will do amazing things. And in order to do that, you have to create that. So I feel like that's been a top priority for Grown Rogue, to facilitate that and to really be hand holding and, not only the plants, but also our team members as well.
In Oregon, are there more companies, do you feel, like you coming up? And who are you seeing? Are you seeing any younger players trying to come into a very difficult market to work in the same sort of space. You can't build a whole industry on one company, so to speak. You need companies that all sort of think fairly in a similar way. And again, having lived in Oregon, that's another thing I saw about the wine industry or the beer industry or the food industry. People tend to, you know, they're running their own business and they've got to make money, but they tend to sort of not clash and try and work together and create this sort of feeling of what the state is and how it views the environment and, as you say, education for its workers and living a positive lifestyle, all these sorts of things. Do you sense that now we've been through this initial rush of cannabis, that there's younger players coming into the market who are thinking like this, and some of the existing ones who have struggled through all the stuff that's happened, uh, coalescing, so it becomes a bit like the wine industry in Oregon, which I'm not saying everybody loves one another, but at the same time, if I see on the shelf in the supermarket now in the UK, US West Coast wines, I see a bunch of Oregon wines, and I see the way that they're branded and the way that they look and the feel they have compared to what's happening in California. And you immediately get this sense of, oh, I should try that, or that looks good, because there's just that sense about the state. And I'm I'm sort of asking you a leading question because I'm wishing and hoping for that, because I believe, or I want to believe, that the future of cannabis comes out of the Pacific Northwest, not anywhere else in the US.
Yes, yes. For me, it's about that consistency and the quality. And if you can deliver that and deliver that great experience for your consumers, they will continue to come back again and again and again. It's funny. I just saw someone putting up a huge outdoor grow here near my house where I live. And I just think to myself, man, do they know what they're getting themselves into? Like someone's putting up an outdoor grow in Southern Oregon and they're still doing that. I'm like, wow, okay. Just to alluding to what you just said, is it's a hard market. And I'm curious, I too am curious what those new operators are thinking. What is their dream? What is their hope? What is their passion for this? And again, it's about understanding where you sit in the market. We know where we sit. We know the quality of what we're bringing to our consumers, and we know our place in the market. So understanding who our consumer is, understanding what product we are bringing, allows us to have that competitive edge. And the team. And again, I go back to that: surrounding yourself with people who care, who are obsessive about the plant and the work that they do. Speaks volumes. That's the game changer. That's the winner. Those are the teams that are going to win.
And as a company, do you have any interaction with politics in the state? Do you do a little bit of lobbying or a little bit of quiet conversation? Because things are changing a little bit, but there doesn't seem to be the concentration and political talk about cannabis that there was 3, 5, 7 years ago. It just seems to be part of the makeup now, and it's more about tinkering with regulations rather than any big changes. Do you guys involve yourselves with that, or you just think, we'll just get on and do what we do, and if there's changes, we'll work with them as they come?
Yeah, we've stayed pretty much just focused on what we do, and again, going back to what we can control. Um, we have invited folks in to tour and just to know that we are a great, educator in this space around. They can come to us and ask questions, and with any regard to how something is working, how is this playing out? What are you guys seeing? So kind of being that liaison, that person they can trusted source to come to with any questions with that. Obi and I personally, we sit on a bunch of just community, at least myself as well, community boards and things like that, just really representing what community means and trying to stay involved in that regard, just because it's a passion of mine to be connected to community. For so long, I felt like I had to live in a shadow because of this industry. And really, when we formalized Grown Rogue, that was something that I took on, that I really wanted to, um, you know, break down some of those stigmas and some of those barriers that you
And do you think with local communities, those stigmas are on the way out, or that there's still sort of bits hanging around?
I hope they're breaking down. I believe they're breaking down. I come from a small community here, very small. We're not in a big city. I mean, we're not in Portland or, any of that. Now our products are, but Southern Oregon is a small community. So for me, I've grown up here. I was born and raised here. So I've seen this industry evolve and how it's been treated and deemed here. So when I say, it comes from the shadows, truly, that is true. I have watched it grow and evolve. So to be part of that change and to see it, some of those stereotypes break down and build relationships has meant a lot to me personally. It has been a journey to overcome and to, kind of living inside, and now I'm living outside. It's a very interesting dynamic to come from an unregulated industry into now a regulated industry. That's been pretty massive.
So the old timers, most of the old timers have, it's okay. We can cope with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to talk with some of them because, I wonder what their thoughts and feelings are. I mean, I know how I've had to deal with that in terms of some of the things that, this is getting a little personal, but, just some of those things that have taken on. And it's not like something just leaves your body, because you've lived that way for so long. Like the residual effects, they come up, they show up, some of those habits. For good, right? The discipline and all of those types of things, the great product, but still some of those residual aspects of living that way to now doing it a different way because of, where we're at in the industry today. I think you called it.
Well, look, Sarah, as always, I've run out of time. We've hit 30 minutes without even thinking about it. Thank you very much for being on the Karma Koala podcast. That was a great way to end. I'm just really pleased, that people like yourself are operating in the Oregon market, and that sense of what Oregon is coming back into play. I always dream that one day there'll be a cannabis brand that's like Umpqua ice cream. Basically, that's my dream. So when I next come back, when I can get into the US, I can gorge myself on both, basically. So anyway, thank you very much for being on the Karma Koala podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Live and direct, live and a date no jive.
Legalize it. So how much can a koala bear? Koala bear, koala bear. Koala bear. Barry pulls a joint out of his pocket. Bill says, "Great, Barry, a reefer."